Okay, guys, so I'm sorry this is so late. This is like, I don't even know, the third time I've tried to film this video. We've been having some major technical difficulties in the Mellow household, and my phone has been going haywire, so we're a little late on the video this week, but I am here now. And I'm sorry I'm shaking so much. I'm recording in my room today, so anyway, first and foremost, I want to start by saying, I am beyond proud of you guys. I know this is our last video. Whoop whoop. So excited. It's our last packet. You are one packet away, hopefully, unless you've waited to do all your packets till now. But you are so close to summer break. I know you guys are so excited. I'm excited for you, honestly. But with that being said, as your teacher, that makes me a little bit emotional because this is a time that I look forward to very much with my class, and we didn't get to do that this year. And so I really wanted to start this video by saying some of the things that I would have said to you had we been in class. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of the work you've done during this quarantine. Honestly, this has not been hard for anyone, myself included. The reason I became a teacher is because of you guys, and because I like being in my classroom. I like seeing your faces. That's what motivates me to do well and to really give my all in teaching. And I've tried really hard to do that with virtual learning, but I think, as you guys have figured out, it's just not the same. I miss your hugs. I miss your laughter. I miss us joking in class. I miss learning. I miss watching you learn. And I'm lucky that I have had such an awesome group of kids. I've told you since the beginning of the year, my fifth graders are the best fifth graders, and I know I'm biased, but hey, that's my right, okay? I know you're the best because you've shown that in your work. You have done so well. You've stayed in touch, and you are going just above and beyond to keep the learning going, and you all are probably my favorite class that I've ever had. Favorite group. I've loved every group that I've taught, but this year's fifth grade was just exceptional, and you've dealt with some really hard stuff this year, and I'm just so beyond proud. You guys, I don't want to talk about it too much longer because I will get emotional. You know me. But you guys have done so well, and I love you with my whole heart. You don't stop being my student just because you're not in my class anymore. You will always be my student. You can always reach out to me, and I will always be here for you. And that is a promise, okay? That is always, all right? So that being said, let's get started on our last packet. It is shaking a little bit because I'm on my bed, so I'm sorry. I will try to keep it as stable as possible and not move around so that we're not all like bouncy. But whatever. So today, and you will notice that I've marked on some of these pages because, like I said, this is about the third or fourth time I've tried to film this video. So yeah. We're going to go ahead and start with the poems. I'm going to read through the poems really quickly and just kind of talk about them, talk about a theme that we see throughout all of the poems here. And then we're going to go back and answer some of those questions. Excuse me. And we are going to really take a look at some, what you can already see, some different poetic devices here that we've already talked about this year in school. But just kind of remind you, just like we've been doing in all of our other packets. So we're going to start with the first poem, which is Early Explorers by Marilyn Singer. Already when I read this title, I'm looking at, okay, what are we exploring? Where is this going? Early, does this talk about people from a long time ago? Are we talking about people? These are kind of some questions I'm asking myself because remember, good readers ask questions, and good readers kind of talk to ourselves, right? We ask these questions in our mind, whether we know we're doing it or not. I, as your teacher, verbalize these questions for you because I want you to get in the habit of recognizing when we're being inquisitive about things. Inquisitive, meaning that you are questioning and you are wanting to learn. When we question things and when we make those connections, we learn more. So let's get started. Early Explorers by Marilyn Singer. No place on Earth is ever undiscovered, even in Antarctica, where whole mountains are hidden under ice. Penguins already laid shambling tracks in the snow before we traveled there. The hottest desert, the deepest jungle, where none of us have ever been, all have been crossed and crossed again. By wings whirring or silent, feet furred or scaled, hoofed or bare, by adventurers we will never know, explorers who will never tell us what wonders they have seen. So already we are talking about, we noticed some things, or I noticed some things, okay? Right off the bat, I noticed a lot of imagery. What is imagery? That is painting a picture in our mind. Marilyn Singer, the poet, is really trying to paint a picture in our mind so that even if there are places in this poem like Antarctica or the deepest jungle that she's talking about that I've never been before, I can use the words in this poem to really get an image in my mind of what they might look like. Like when she says the deepest jungle, I'm just imagining leaves and trees and greenery everywhere, or the hottest desert, just bare sand, right? And I'm hearing wings whirring or silent feet, and I'm picturing little furry animals, right? So who are the explorers here? Animals. She gives us a lot of clues without really saying animals are the explorers I'm talking about, right? She gives us some clues, and our first clue comes on line 6. Take a look at line 6. It says, penguins already laid shambling tracks, and I underline this. Okay, and I made a little note here, and I don't know if you can read it because of my handwriting, but it says already equals been there before. When we see that word, penguins already laid shambling tracks in the snow, that means that they already did it. They've been there before we even knew where there was, right? And so she's giving us that first clue that maybe humans weren't the first explorers in some of these places. In fact, there were winged animals or furry-footed animals or hooved animals that have already been there. They've seen these places and they've seen places we will never go, right? I kind of like this poem. It's kind of cool. I'm picturing some I don't know if you've ever watched Planet Earth on, you can watch it on Netflix, but I think it's on like the Discovery Channel. I love those shows because they really take the camera in places in nature that I've never been. And this poem reminds me of that. Text to media connection. It reminds me of those documentaries of seeing things that like humans have never even been there before. Obviously the camera was, but I'd never seen before, ever. I don't know why. Every time I start reading to y'all, I start yawning. It's so weird. Anyway, let's move on to our next poem, poem number 2. And I think with this poem, you'll start to see a little bit of a theme here. We even start to see this right off the bat with our title, A Map and a Dream. Maps. What do maps have to do with? Exploring. We need maps. I'm just shaking this camera all over the place. Okay. We need maps in order to explore places, right? Or vice versa, we explore, and when we explore, we can create a map. Because if you've never been somewhere before, but you want to learn how to go again, you make a map, right? So I boxed in map because that was a big clue to me that this poem might have some connections to my first one. Let's read it. Oh, we also, if you look on the side, on the left-hand side, intersecting is in bold. It means it's probably going to show up in our poem. That's a vocabulary word we need to be on the lookout for. So, A Map and a Dream by Karen O'Donnell Taylor. Maps are more than tiny lines intersecting lace designs, more than names and colored dots, rivers, mountains, tourist spots. Maps are keys to secret places, vast new worlds and unknown faces. I can trace each graceful line, close my eyes, and in my mind I can travel anywhere. A map, a dream can take me there. All right, I love this poem. Number one, if you'll notice, it has one of my favorite things, which is rhymes. I am horrible at writing rhyming poetry. I'm not sure why. Really, really bad at it. But I love reading it. Why do poets use rhymes? Oh, okay. Back up. First of all, we notice a pattern here. I don't know if you noticed it as I was reading, but if you go back and read it yourself, or I'm going to look through it right now, you will notice that every other word rhymes, okay? So we've got lines, designs, dots, spots, places, faces, line, mind, where, there. I messed up. I kind of starred every other one, but then at the bottom I couldn't. Starred the wrong one, so I got confused. I love rhymes because I love songs. A lot of songs rhyme, and that's because poets and songwriters are trying to achieve the same thing. It's all about the rhythm of the words you're reading. When you have rhymes, it makes you read in a certain rhythm where the words kind of bounce, like my phone is doing on this camera. And it makes the poem flow really well. And you start to kind of read in a sort of rhythm, and you are able to, I wouldn't say understand it better, but it just makes it more memorable for you. So, maps are more than tiny lines intersecting lace designs, more than names and colored dots, rivers, mountains, tourist spots. You see how I'm kind of, it's like a bum. And poets do that on purpose because it just makes things flow. Poems and songs are very similar. Songs like to use rhymes as well, especially rap, because it makes things flow. And that's how things get stuck in your head, right? It kind of creates a pattern. I love that. That is one of my favorite things about poetry. That's why rap is one of my favorite genres of music, because I love a good flow. All right, we're also looking, if you take a look at the left-hand side of your paper, we're also taking a look for a metaphor. I spotted the metaphor. I started the metaphor. I don't know if you spotted it, but we'll see. Metaphors are a comparison between two things without using like or as. So they are saying something is something else. They use a metaphor in this poem to say maps are something else. I'm going to give you a second to find it. Did you get it? Take a look at line 9. Maps are keys. If you want to continue that, you could say maps are keys to secret places. But the poet is saying a map is a key. Is that true? Yes and no. Maps are not physically a key that would unlock a door like our house key, but they are a key that unlocks new places, right? They give us the knowledge and they open doors to exploring. I like that metaphor. That's kind of cool. And maps have keys. So kind of a riddle within a riddle. All right. Let's move on. Poem number 3. Latitude, longitude, dreams. All right. Latitude and longitude dreams. Number 1, what is latitude and longitude? Do you know? Latitude and longitude are the lines that go up and down and across when you look at a globe. And they can pinpoint your place on the world. So already we're seeing connections to the maps and to the exploring, right? We're building a theme here. All of our poems have to do with exploring so far. Latitude and longitude, well, we'll get into it. Let's read the poem first before I get ahead of myself. Here we're looking at 3 different vocabulary words, okay? We've got via. Some might say via, I say via. Traversed and girth. Try to pay attention, see if you can hear it or follow along, and see if you can point it out when I get to it, and then we'll talk about what they mean. All right. Latitude, Longitude Dreams by Drew Lamb and James Hildreth. Magellan moved via stars, steered his ship by celestial rays. Columbus sailed on over the edge, discovering lands and waterways. They traversed their dreams, set their course, voyaging over oceans and seas, etching earth with invisible designs, crossing rivers, ice, and trees. These lines that slide from pole to pole, wrapping around the watery girth, coordinating all of us on this globe, our home, our ship, our planet Earth. All right, so this one, I like this poem a lot of deeper meaning here. We're going to take it stanza by stanza. So, first stanza, they are talking about explorers. They mention 2 of them by name. Magellan moved via stars, which if we look over to the left means he moved by the way of, or he used the stars as a guide or a map to find his way and to steer his ship. Columbus sailed on over the edge, meaning he sailed further than anyone else had sailed before, and he discovered lands, right? He discovered America, whole continent. So they're talking about the past and how these explorers first started exploring things and kind of mapping things out. They traversed their dreams and set their course, voyaging over oceans and seas, etching earth with invisible designs, crossing rivers, ice, and seas. That line number 7 is important because that in stanza 2 in line number 7, etching the earth with invisible designs, they are talking about the longitude and latitude lines, right? Because even though you cannot see them when you are walking around, like you don't walk around on the ground and just see big dark lines everywhere, the earth, because of explorers like Magellan and Columbus, is covered with latitude and longitude lines, and you can see them, or you cannot see them, but if you are in a location, you can use those invisible designs to pinpoint where you're at on the earth. Okay? Crossing rivers and trees, they used their voyages and their travels to create almost like a grid for the world, so that no matter where you're at in the world, someone can find your location. All right, stanza number 3. The lines that slide from pole to pole, wrapping around the watery girth. Again, we're talking about those latitude and longitude lines. Coordinate all of us on the globe, our home, our ship, our planet Earth. I like this line the best, line number 12, because it kind of ties everything together in the poem. And I like that because the cool thing about latitude and longitude is that it doesn't matter whether you're in North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Russia, Australia, wherever you're at, latitude and longitude lines are always read the same. So if I went to Australia and had to send someone in America my location, I can send the coordinates of where I'm at, and that person in America can read it. It's universal, it's global, and it ties all of us together, all right, as a whole world. I like that. All right, last poem. Learning the World by Kristen O'Connell George. Obviously, we've got our world here. Learning is kind of a synonym, which means they mean the same for exploring. All right. They are very similar. I wouldn't say they mean the same exact thing, but exploring the world and learning the world in this sense could be used in the same way. So, I'm memorizing oceans, tracing rivers, learning mountain ranges. I'm memorizing capitals, tracing countries, learning crops and industries. I'm smoothing out this map, rolling it into a tube, peering through one end, wishing it were a telescope, wishing I could see past my street, wishing I could see the whole world spread beneath my feet. I like this poem because I don't know about you, but with all of the COVID and quarantine stuff, it's easy to feel kind of stuck and to really get that sense of, I just want to go outside. I want to have an adventure, right? I want to get out of my house. And I think that this poem really captures that feeling, because it's like in the first stanza, the person who is narrating the poem, they're memorizing, tracing, learning. It seems very kind of rigid, like schoolwork or homework. But then in the second stanza, they actually take that map and they roll it up and they look through it like a telescope, because they're trying and they're daydreaming that they can use that map to see way beyond where they're at. And sometimes I wish I had a big telescope that I could see wherever I wanted to see instead of just being stuck at home right now. And so I really like this poem, and I like that we ended on this one because it gives us that, it's kind of a feeling I think we're all feeling right now. So let's get to work. All right, here we go. First, taking a look, word study. All right, suffixes, we've talked about this before. Suffixes are what we add onto the end of words in order to change its meaning. Like able in the very first word. All right, we've got that here. It says, decode each word containing able or ible, then write the word's meaning. Decoding words using advanced knowledge. Decoding words using advanced knowledge of the influence of suffix. So, with suffixes, you should be able to kind of snap the end of that word off and put it to the side and still know what the word means. So the way I like to do this, I'm going to actually write the word again. And you don't have to write it again. You can actually use the word they already printed there. I just like to do that because I like to write. Breakable. Now, my suffix is able. So I'm going to put a square around able. That separates from it. What word am I left with? Break. We know what break means. I would say break means to fracture or crack. Now, able, the suffix able means can be done. So if break means fracture or crack, and we add that in with our can be done, what does breakable mean? Can be fractured or cracked. That's literally all you're doing. You're just taking the words and you're trying to decide, what does the base word mean and how do I put those together? So I'm going to go through the list and I'm going to kind of break those words apart and help you out. And then I want you to write your definitions. Collapsible. Collapse-able. What does collapse mean? Able means it can be done. So what does collapse mean? Likeable. Can be done. What does like mean? I think I'm kind of backwards here, but you get the gist. Noticeable. Noticeable. See how you can take the words apart and put them back together? It's not the same as a compound word, but they're kind of similar, where both of these words, when taken apart, they mean something. Reversible. Reversible. All right, what does reverse mean? Back it up. What does able mean? Put them together, take them apart. This page should be fairly easy for you guys. I don't think you should have any issues with this at all. All right, taking a look, academic vocabulary here. So we are going to read each idiom, match the word in the box with the idiom that best relates to the word's definition. So remember, idioms are kind of like the raining cats and dogs. Choose 2 idioms, then write a sentence that uses the idiom and its related academic vocabulary word. Okay, so what you're doing is you're kind of doing the activity and then you're creating one yourself. Not hard. You guys can do this. We're going to start with the very first one. Take an interest. All right, if I am taking an interest in something, what word at the top best matches the feeling that I'm getting if I take an interest in something? Like if I said I'm taking an interest in jellyfish, so I'm going to go to the aquarium and learn more about them. It means I'm probably curious about them. So our first blank is curiosity. I'm actually going to go through all of these with you because this one is kind of one that I feel like you might have some more trouble with, so I'll go through all of these. All over the map. If something is all over the map, that means it's wandering around, right? Like if I wander all over the map, that means I'm going everywhere. One sharp cookie. That means you're smart, right? So which word best matches smart? Insight. Very good. And then off the beaten path. I would say that matches adventure. I think, and even as a teacher, that kind of, I think wandered and adventure could kind of be interchangeable. So I will accept either or, honestly. All over the map could mean wandered. It could mean adventure. Off the beaten path could mean wandered, could mean adventure. Those are kind of really, honestly, very close. And then we've got right around the corner. That kind of simulates passage to me. Like it's right over there. All right. Boop, boop, boop. Do your best with the idioms. You can do it. I know it's a little bit harder, but I think you can create some idioms of your own or Google it, find some examples, and then link those back to an academic vocabulary word. All right. Now, so this page, what you're doing here is this is just a graphic organizer. You're filling out the chart based on the readings we just did. So what you'll do is you'll take each of the poems, like they have one here, Learning the World, word choice. So it says, go back to the close read notes and highlight evidence that helps you create mental images. Use your highlighted text evidence to describe your mental image to complete the chart. So we are using some of those imagery words. We talked about this, especially in the first poem. So we're going to go back here to, this is the last poem, Learning the World. All right. I'm going to kind of do this as an example. So to fill in that chart, you're going to go back to your poem. You're going to choose a line that really paints an image in your head. So I'm going to choose lines 7 and 8, where it says, I'm smoothing out this map, rolling it into a tube. And I'm going to copy that line right here in the second box. That's your text evidence. We've done that. I'm smoothing out this map. I'm rolling it into a tube. And this really does create the mental image for me of when I was in elementary school and I used to create paper telescopes. And I would literally do just like this. and I would roll it up, and I would look through it, and I honest to goodness thought I could see better by doing that. I don't know why I did. Maybe you've done this as well, but I would literally look it up and I'd look at my friends and be like, I see you, you know, that kind of thing. And that's the mental image that came to mind, because I imagine that that is what this person is doing. So I'm going to say paper telescopes I made in elementary school. And that's just how you fill it out. Like, you literally just take your text evidence and what image that brought to your mind. Super easy. All right, explaining sound devices and figurative language. So go to the close read notes in the poetry collection. This is your next page. Underline words that rhyme, which we've done that. And elements that create rhythm and metaphors. So this is exactly what we were talking about. So you were just put the poem title here. Go back through the poems that we read, the 4 that we read. Only fill out a box if the poem has rhyming words. So if it doesn't have a rhyme pattern, don't worry about it, okay? Not every poem we read has a rhyme pattern. You're going to give me examples of the rhymes and what the rhymes, like how they helped you read the poem, basically. And then last 2 pages here. These are just comprehension questions. This should be fairly easy for you guys to do. You're just answering. These are just like short answer questions like we've done in class. And then here is vocabulary. So this is very similar to what we've already been doing, and they give you an example here. I actually like this a little bit better than the ones we were doing, because all of the words that they use here and the examples are directly from the poems we read, instead of how in the other passages we were reading, the words didn't really, like the examples they gave you didn't connect with the reading. These do. So like number 2, in latitude and longitude dreams, via connects, and then I'll go back, and it says in the very first line, Magellan moved via stars, steered his ship by celestial rays. So I would say in latitude, longitude dreams, via connects Magellan and his map. Well, I used and, but connects Magellan and his travels and the map theme. So that's how it connects it to the other poems. This is just making connections using that vocabulary. And you're using those vocabulary words that we already talked about. So in latitude, longitude dreams, again, traversed connects the dreams and the course they were on, because it says they traversed their dreams, set their course, voyaging over oceans and seas. So it connects the speaker's dreams with the course. Easy peasy. All right. Again, thank you so much. I'm so sorry that this video is coming at you so late. I'm sorry for my technical difficulties. I'm probably going to do like a little wrap-up video this week as well. Nothing packet related, but just kind of pretty much saying a goodbye for the year and just telling you about some stuff for summer and all that good stuff. So anyway, I hope this video helps, and shout out to everyone that's watching the videos, and just know I love you guys and I miss you, and I'm excited for summer, but I miss you guys more. So all right, bye.